16 on his outside out of Loving, New Mexico. In the 37, it'll be John Neal Reed.
Row number 2, Noah Daspit out of Kiln, Mississippi in the 34. To his outside, the 9R of Jimmy Ray out of Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Lincoln, Arkansas's Jeremy Lacoste starts inside row 3. He's in the 75J. On his outside, the 89 out of Elk Mound, Wisconsin's A.J. Diemel.
Row 4 will be the D25 of David Tanner out of Wichita Falls, Texas. The 64 of Casey Fowler from Grand Saline, Texas. And your final starter, Cool Hand Luke. Luke is shot out of Chatfield, Minnesota. 9 cars, 8 laps, heat race 4. This is presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts with the Mesilla Valley Transportation Border Tire Mods, presented by Rancho Milagro.
In 57 modified entries on hand here tonight. Top 16 in passing points are locked into the show. The C&D bonding green flag waves, and Dan Ebert wastes no time jumping into the early race lead. But the veteran and Vado regular Jimmy Ray gonna immediately dive to the outside. Noah Daspit also decides to dive to the outside, and they nearly got into the wall over in turn number 2.
No harm, no foul. We stay clean and green. 1 lap will be on the board out of turn 4, and it's Minnesota's Dan Ebert leading the way.
Dan Ebert out front in this one. John Neal Reed runs second. There's a good look at the battle from 5th on back as Jimmy Ray in the number 9 tries to hold off Grand Saline, Texas native Casey Fowler in the 64. Fowler is able to work his way by him and take that number 5 position. At the end of lap number 2, it's still the 60 of Dan Ebert out front as the best battle on the track right now. Going to be that battle for the 3rd spot as A.J. Diemel has come from 6th to challenge Noah Daspit for the podium.
A.J. Diemel trying to give some more of those precious passing points as we complete lap 3 off turn 4. And it continues to be Ebert your leader, or John Neal Reed, and by a nose at the line, Daspit holds on to 3rd over Diemel, but Diemel's going to make a strong case through turns 1 and 2 to take the spot. And DJ, mission accomplished for A.J. Diemel.
A.J. Diemel looking good here this evening. Again, had a little bit of smoke in that car here on practice night. They got that sorted out as the evening went on. Now A.J. Diemel has been sent the 6th starting position up to 3rd, and he's still got 4 laps in this one to try to track down your 2nd place car, John Neal Reed. Reed now over 2 seconds behind your race leader, Dan Ebert, coming around this time. Ben, 5 down, 3 to go in O'Reilly Auto Parts heat race number 4 for the Mesilla Valley Transportation Border Tire Modifieds.
Dan Ebert, last year's King of America champion, putting on a clinic right now. Also, as we talked about, an 8-time winner, won the Silver 1000 last year, from a Minnesota 100 mod champion, and he is driving away from the pack. He's got a 2+ second advantage right now over John Neal Reed, and just 2 laps between him and a Hooker Trucking checkered flag in this one. A.J. Diemel pedaling hard to try to get to John Neal Reed. Not sure that he's gonna get there though. As your race leader Dan Ebert looks maybe as smooth as anyone out front. White flag in the air. Final time around for the Lakeshore, Minnesota driver Dan Ebert as he started this race on the pole, and it looks like he is going to lead all 8 laps if he can hang on for 2 more corners. Final time off into turns 3 and 4, and out of Lakeshore, Minnesota, the Pro Power Racing Engine Mullins chassis, it's Dan Ebert picking up the win in O'Reilly Auto Parts heat number 4.
2nd spot's going to go to John Neal Reed of Loving, New Mexico, Elk Mound, Wisconsin's A.J. Diemel crosses in the 3rd spot. 4th goes to Grand Saline, Texas native Casey Fowler, and rounding out the top 5, it'll be the 9 of Jimmy Ray.
Taking the win out of Lakeshore, Minnesota, the Collins Brothers Towing, Minnesota Truck Headquarters, Country Pride Excavating, Amsoil, Ryan Benjamin Realty, Iron City Construction, Shaw Trucking, Shocker Hitch, Peterson Farms, Country Cat, Pro Power Racing Engine, Mullins Chassis, number 60, Dan Ebert, an 8-time winner last year. He'll go after his first one of the year here tonight as we just keep moving right along. And up next, Mary's Home Furnishing heat race number 5 for the mods. And on the pole, it'll be Rick Ortega out of Las Cruces, New Mexico. And to his outside, Peyton Gallardo, also out of Las Cruces in the 17.
2nd row back will be the 33 out of Republic, Missouri. That's Jaron Martin on his outside. From Muskogee, Oklahoma, the 88 is Chad Wheeler.
Row 3 will be Gene Nicholas out of Lowell, Arkansas on the 11, and the 4R of Derek Ramirez out of Woodward, Oklahoma.
And your final 3 starters will be Wyatt Gajero out of Wichita, Kansas in the 15W, El Paso, Texas native Tom George is in the 28, and Marshall, Texas driver Chris Hennigan in the 16. 9 cars running 8 laps. This is Mary's Home Furnishings heat race number 5 for the Mesilla Valley Transportation Border Tire Modifieds, presented by Rancho Milagro, and they're going to fire in that Rio Grande Waste Services starting zone coming off turn number 4.
No rest for the wicked, straight to the green out of the pits, and it'll be Ortega taking him off into 1 and 2, 3 wide back there for second as Wheeler splits the difference. Jaron Martin down low in the 33's got second. Wheeler wants by, and they'll work down the back straightaway.
This one could be interesting as you got some good cars scattered throughout the field and towards the back. At the end of lap number 1, though, Rick Ortega is going to lead the field. And that battle for 2nd spot up for grabs. Chad Wheeler on the outside. The man behind WR1 Sim Chassis trying to work around the 33 of Jaron Martin. Just not quite able to do so at when they crossed the stripe the last time, but now he'll do so over in turns 3 and 4. And at the end of lap number 2, it's Wheeler second. He's going to try to close in on your race leader, Rick Ortega.
Derek Ramirez will go from 6th to 3rd in 2 laps, and now he's into the inside of Chad Wheeler. And Ramirez looking for redemption after last night. Just did not have the night he wanted. And now to the inside of Wheeler, side by side for that position. And now he is going to take second as they work off turn number 4. Here comes Derek Ramirez chasing your leader, Rick Ortega.
Hat tip to Rick Ortega. He's done a good job thus far. This is one of the better races we've seen so far this evening. 3 cars under a blanket as the top spot's up for grabs. It's Rick Ortega in the 24, Chad Wheeler in the red 88, and Derek Ramirez going to make contact with Ortega as they're nearly 3 wide for the lead coming off the corner. Wheeler going to have it at the stripe.
And Chad Wheeler snookered them both. He goes from 3rd to the lead as we work lap 5 out of 2 down the back straightaway. Now Ortega's right there, and Ramirez is trying to get the number of that truck as he gets his feet back under him. 3 cars battling it out, and you're right, DJ. Mary's Home Furnishing Heat Race number 5 has been the best one so far.
So late model heats may be interesting names. This track's really cleaned off top to bottom right now. We'll see how things shake out as we got one more modified heat after this one. Chad Wheeler pulling away a little bit is now second spot is the jockey for position as Derek Ramirez tries to work to the outside of Rick Ortega and take that position away, this time by 6 laps down, 2 to go, and Ramirez by a bumper will take the bridesmaid honors away from Ortega.
6th to 2nd, but Chad Wheeler's turned in the keys and checked out. 4th to the lead. He's going to race back to the white flag out of turn at number 4 as Ortega bounces off the wall down the back straightaway, and Jaron Martin will go by for 3rd. DJ, final time around here in Mary's Home Furnishing Heat number 5.
Yeah, it's going to be Chad Wheeler leading the field on this final circuit. Derek Ramirez, as you mentioned, has worked his way from position number 6 up to the 2nd spot. Going to be too little too late, though, to close in on the race leader because Chad Wheeler is going to wheel the 88 off corner number 4 down to the Hooker Trucking checkered flag with Derek Ramirez finishing 2nd, Jaron Martin 3rd. Rick Ortega hangs on from 4th, and the good doctor, Tom Georgia, is going to rally from the back of the field up to 5th. That's how they finish in Mary's Home Furnishings Heat Race number 5.
Taking the win at Mary's Home Furnishing Heat Race number 5. It's Chad Wheeler out of Muskogee, Oklahoma. The Wheelers Metals, WR1 Sim Chassis, Schoenfeld Headers, Infra Welders, and Bill Stein Shocks, all sponsors on that Durham-powered CDR race car for Chad Wheeler, 5-time winner last year. He picks up the win at Mary's Home Furnishing Heat Race number 5. DJ, 1 heat to go.
Yeah, it's going to be Mesilla Valley Transportation Heat Race number 6. Again, 8 laps in distance out of Wichita, Kansas. Tanner Mullins starting on the pole in the 0-2 on his outside from Success, Mississippi. The 45 is Chase Holland.
Row 2 will be Odessa, Texas driver Philip Houston, a track champion last year in the 71, to his outside the J7 of Jake Bowles out of Alamogordo, New Mexico.
3rd row back on the inside out of Robstown, Texas, Stephen Whitaker Jr. in the 89. On his outside will be Calvin Iverson in the 27X.
Row 4 is the Catman, John Mitchell out of Texarkana, Texas in the 5, and the 77 of CJ Halsey out of El Paso, Texas. And your final starter, TP, Terry Phillips out of Springfield, Missouri in car 75. 9 cars, 8 laps. And we're going to come to the C&D Bonding green flag out of turn 4 as they approach the Rio Grande Waste Services start zone. Final mod heat of the night. 4 super late model heats up next.
Montfield's loaded, man. Keep your eyes on Terry Phillips starting back there. Shotgun on the field. A solid run last night for the National Dirt Late Model Hall of Famer. And that'll be a Midwest Sheet Metal caution as...
Don't think they like that start.
Yeah, try to get him lined back up side by side, double file. Probably going to take an extra lap to do that as that Midwest Sheet Metal caution flag flies going down the back straightaway. So we'll get him lined back up side by side, double file, 2x2x2. And what is our final heat race of the night for the Mesilla Valley Transportation Border Tire USRA Modifieds. This is Mesilla Valley Transportation Heat Race number 6.
These heats have progressively got better. We'll see what Heat Race 6 has got for us. And we've got 4 Dirt Track Bank Super Late Model Heats presented by Black Diamond Race Cars coming up next. And yeah, you just watch these heats, and it's just talent upon talent in every one of them. And this one is no exception as the Midwest Sheet Metal yellow lights are down on the speedway. And we'll come around out of turn number 4. See if the second time is a charm here in Mesilla Valley Transportation Heat Race number 6. Final heat of the night for the mods.
Again, Tanner Mullins on the pole, Chase Holland on the outside, and they'll fire in the Rio Grande Waste Services starting zone with 2 new flags. Standing Saludo on the inside of turns 3 and 4, and Tanner Mullins try to get that same advantage on Chase Holland. He will stretch out, but it wasn't quite as easy that time. Philip Houston going to stick his nose in the underneath the Success Mississippi driver in a battle for the 2nd spot at the end of lap number 1. Mullins leads, Holland 2nd, Houston 3rd.
Houston in the third spot, but he's turning up the wick on Chase Holland in that battle for the spot. And now Philip Houston will skirt down on the bottom of turns 1 and 2, and he'll take the second spot. And he brings Steven Whitaker with him. A couple of Texas drivers teaming up on the Mississippi racer to push him back to 4th. Out front, though, it's Kansas racer Tanner Mullins in the 0-2.
And a talent-laden field in this 6th and final Mesilla Valley Transportation Heat race. But Tanner Mullins right now making it look easy as he's already stretched out to a 1.2 second advantage. Philip Houston, as you mentioned, able to work his way into the second spot. Steve Whitaker Jr. right now going to run in third. That's how they cross the stripe. 3 laps scored, 5 laps to go in MVT Heat number 6.
And now the battle heating up for second. Houston went to the top side of the racetrack, and that might not have been the answer as Whitaker battles back to his inside, and they work at each other for that second spot. Halfway home, this time at the line, 4 down, 4 to go, and it's Hughes holding, let's play again. It's Mullins holding the advantage over Houston, and back in third, it's Whitaker, and now Chase Holland will rejoin that battle. 4 cars right now. I mean, just good cars all the way through this pack. Just amazing the field. Terry Phillips has worked from the back of the pack. He's trying to get around the car number 27X, excuse me, of Calvin Iverson for the 5th position.
I like that you tried to put Jason Hughes out there.
did.
Jason, we need to get you back out here to the Rio Grande Waste Services Wild West Shootout. Coming around this time for 2 laps to go, and Tanner Mullins, we mentioned earlier, making it look probably a lot easier than it is. That 0-2 is absolutely set on cruise control as he is out front by 2.7 seconds over what's turning into a 3-car battle for the second spot. Philip Houston has it. Steve Whitaker Jr. and Chase Holland trying to take it away. This time around, coming around to the white flag for your race leader, Wichita, Kansas native Tanner Mullins.
White flag in there. Final time around the speedway for the Mullins chassis, Mullins Racing Engine entry of Tanner Mullins, a 10-time winner last year. DJ final time down the back straightaway, and he races off into turn 3.
Checkered flag in the air, and the winner of Mesilla Valley Transportation Heat Race number 6 will indeed be Tanner Mullins in the 0-2. Philip Houston will cross the stripe in the second spot. Third going to go to the 89 of Steve Whitaker. 4th to Chase Holland, and Calvin Iverson will round out the top 5, followed by Terry Phillips, John Mitchell, CJ Halsey, and Jake Bowles.
Picking up the win in Mesilla Valley Transportation Heat Race number 6 out of Wichita, Kansas, it's Tanner Mullins. The Mel Hambleton Ford, San Lion Iron and Metal, Donna's Pool and Patio, BCC Signs and Graphics, Fuquay Trucking, Bergman Tax and Accounting, Doherty Brothers Construction, CPD Racing Shocks, and Kanuki Farms, all sponsors on the Mullins chassis, Mullins Racing Engine of Tanner Mullins. And DJ, we're shifting gears once again as we get set now for Dirt Track Bank Super Late Model Heat Race action presented by Black Diamond Race Cars.
And again, these drivers participated in Swift Springs time trials presented by Screven Motor Speedway's winter freeze earlier, so there'll be 8 laps in distance, and the top 4 will transfer into tonight's 40-lap main event out of Bridge City, Texas. Your overall quick qualifier tonight, Caden Honeycutt will start on the pole in the 10 on his outside out of Winfield, Tennessee, in the 157, the Winfield Warrior, Mike Marlar.
Row 2 will be Kyle Beard out of Truman, Arkansas in the 86, and to his outside the 19C of Spring, Texas driver Colby Moore.
We'll move back to row number 3, and on the inside there we find the Portland, North Dakota driver of the E85. That's Jason Strander on his outside out of New Waverly, Texas, the Best Performance Motorsports 1T. It's Turbo Tyler Erb.
Row 4 is Sam Mars out of Menominee, Wisconsin, the 28M, and the 25 of Mikey Kyle out of Westlake, Louisiana.
And your final 3 starters then, Rodney Sanders and that Brian Doherty Racing number 73, Morgan Bagley in the 14M, and Walton Kyle Jr., FK Rodden's Vado Speedway Park regular out of Las Cruces in the 250. In all, 9 cars will run 8 laps. Trenton Berry and the top 4 will transfer to the main event.
Hey, you guys touched on the fact that you said you needed Jason Hughes back out here. He's actually here. He was here this weekend helping some customers. I talked to him a little bit earlier back over there in the pits, but he's flying home first of the week. But wanted to come out here and see how some of his guys were going to be able to run.
Next time, airlift that race car out here. Let's go, Hughes.
Right.
Come on.
That's right.
Bring the dog, too. Bring the dog.
Yeah, it's going to take 3 seats on that plane for that dog.
All right, the Midwest Sheet Metal caution lights have been turned off, and they'll go racing this time by Caden Honeycutt. A solid run last night, turned some heads. He's on the pole. Mike Marlar on the outside, and the C&D bonding green flag is out. FK Rodden's heat number 1's underway.
Caden Honeycutt down low. Marlar's going to blast right through the middle. He lets it eat. The 157 up top. Honeycutt down low. Drag race out of 2 down the back straightaway. Honeycutt holds serve. Marlar's right there with him, though, off into 3 and 4.
Told you these late model heat races could be real good. Marlar drives the skyline. Motorsports 157 deep into turns 3 and 4. Honeycutt going to hold the edge. Into lap number 1, Marlar, though, not going to give up on the outside lane. Honeycutt, though, real good on the bottom coming off turn number 2. He's able to keep Marlar at bay for the time being.
And right there, Honeycutt gave up the bottom. That might be a crucial error as Marlar back down to the bottom. And Honeycutt's going to hold the lead, but now Marlar's going to have the inside line in 1 and 2. And 1 and 2, the bottom seems like the place to be for sure. And Marlar will scoot to the lead down the back straightaway.
Mike Marlar's, trouble over in turn number 2 as Colby Moore snaps around in the number 19C. And that will bring out a Midwest Sheet Metal caution for the first time here in FK Rod Ends heat race number 1. 2 laps scored and 6 laps remaining. And I believe if we go back to the last fully completed lap, that'll put Caden Honeycutt back out front.
Yes, sir, it will. So 2 laps down, 6 to go. And Trenton, we talked about it. Caden Honeycutt just continues to impress. Limited seat time in a dirt late model, but man, he has been hanging with the best in the business here this weekend.
Man, he was right there, and I'm really excited to see how he stacks up here. You know, is he able to hold off this guy? He's got a whole lot of talent right here behind him, and this has certainly been an impressive win on a pretty big stage for him if he's able to pull this thing off. I was excited to see that speed carried back over, so they've definitely hit on something.
Well, you've got the moisture ring down there in 1 and 2 on the bottom, and he gave that up. Marlar scooted to the lead, and you see Marlar take the inside for the restart.
Yeah, and once again, we will be passing on our Black Diamond Race Cars Heat Race winner interviews in the essence of time and to try to keep this program moving along. So 2 laps in, 6 laps to go, and they fire in the Rio Grande Waste Services restart zone with Honeycutt back out front. He's got some tough customers behind him with Mike Marlar. Marlar with a good run on the inside of the racetrack will take that lead back away from the 10.
He does, and now Turbo's going to join the battle. Oh, hang on, Kyle Beard right there. As Turbo went to move up the racetrack, Beard was up beside him. A little bit of contact, but we stay clean and green, and now Turbo will shoot up to 2nd. Honeycutt back to 3rd. Beard in 4th. Sam Mars sits in 5th. He's on the outside looking in after starting 7th, and he'll go after Honeycutt. So Honeycutt's got his hands full a little bit here in this one.
Yeah, the 10 car, the handling's just gone away on that thing just a little bit or something. He was unable to keep that car glued to the bottom of the racetrack coming off corner number 2 like he was in the opening laps of this one, and now he's mired on the outside of the speedway. And with this slick surface and the wind blowing, there just hasn't been enough of a cushion built up yet to get a good run on the outside of the racetrack, and Honeycutt will get freight trained. He falls all the way back to 6th. This time by 5 laps down, 3 to go. It's Mike Marlar followed by Tyler Erb, Kyle Beard, and Sam Mars.
Yeah, just right now that bottom is the place to be. And the weather, the wind, and the laps right now wreaked a little bit of havoc on it. As you see Tyler Erb, he works the top side of the racetrack down through 3 and 4. Marlar's married to that bottom, and with 2 laps remaining in this one, Marlar stretched it out to 1.4 second advantage over Tyler Erb.
Yeah, Tyler Erb right now trying to pedal hard and get to the 157. That 157 just looks really good out front. The white flag's going to fly final time around for the Winfield Warrior, Mike Marlar. Again, top 4 drivers transfer. It's Marlar, Turbo, Beard, and Sam Mars holding on to the final transfer spot, Ben, as they head down the backstretch for the final time.
Off into turns 3 and 4. Mike Marlar took the lead early in this one. Never looked back, and he will win FK Rod Ends heat race number 1. Tyler Erb comes home in 2nd. Kyle Beard in 3rd. Sam Mars will take your 4th and final transfer. Rodney Sanders, Caden Honeycutt, Mikey Kyle, everybody else, they're going to head off to a B-main.
And so once again, we're going to bypass all of the Black Diamond Race Cars Victory Lane interviews here this evening. Your winner out of Winfield, Tennessee, in the Skyline Materials Truck Country Can-Am Auto Salvage sponsored number 157. How about a round of applause for the Winfield Warrior, Mike Marlar, picks up the win in FK Rod Ends heat race number 1.
What if we just simulate? I think Mike would have said there, I'm glad to have less of an eventful night tonight, and it's nice that I haven't blown an oil line.
That's right. No fluid everywhere. As we get set now for Dirt Track Bank heat race number 2, and on the pole, Elk Grove, California's Kyle Larson in the 6th to his outside the 49T of Jake Tim out of Winona, Minnesota.
Row number 2 on the inside, it'll be Clayton Stuckey out of Shreveport, Louisiana. On his outside on Las Cruces, New Mexico. In the 58, it's Garrett Alberson.
Row 3 will be Keiko Perez out of Chihuahua, Mexico in the 3, and the 78S of Steve Stoltz out of Peoria, Arizona.
4th row back on the inside on a Manhattan, Kansas, Chase Younghands in the 18. He'll be flanked by the Yuma, Arizona driver. The 02, it's Kent Rosefear.
Row 5 will be Eston Whistler out of Otis, Oregon, and the 88 car of Chance Man out of Newport, Arkansas. Your final starter, Pete Vargas out of Las Cruces, New Mexico. 11 cars, 8 laps. And the question's going to be right now, DJ, that bottom's just preferred place to be. Can anybody move around in this one and find a little bit of something to try to make something from the middle up work?
Yeah, I tell you what, again, that just there's not much of a cushion up on the high side right now with this wind blowing and the track what it is, and it's more of crumbs up there right now. So I'm not positive very candidly that we're going to see that in these heat races. I do know though that if time and weather permits, that Chad Bowman and the staff, they want to go out there and possibly touch that track up just a little bit before this evening's features. But again, we'll see how things go. Obviously, you want as good of a racetrack as you can possibly have, but equally as important, you want to make sure you get the show in as well, with inclement weather possibly on the way here in a little bit. So dirt track bank heat race number 2 getting lined up down the back straightaway. As Ben mentioned, it'll be 8 laps in distance. Top 4 will transfer into tonight's 40-lap main event with Kyle Larson on the pole and Jake Tim on the outside.
11 cars going at it 8 laps. Top 4 move on. Winner to the Schaefer Oil redraw for the Gorsuch Performance Solutions pole award. And Kyle Larson's trying to put it in the redraw for the first time here this weekend. He jumps to the lead. Meanwhile, Jake Tim's got his hands full back there with Stuckey, but Clayton Stuckey shoves off the bottom of 2, and that allows Chase Younghands to shoot by. Meanwhile, up top, business picking up. Steve Stoltz goes to work on the top side of the racetrack. Good battle from 3rd on back.
Yeah, it is. And Stoltz actually making that top side work down in turns 3 and 4. He's able to sneak by a couple cars, and he may not be done yet. He's got Clayton Stuckey to the inside. That's a battle for a transfer spot down the back straightaway here in Dirt Track Bank heat race number 2 for the Dirt Track Bank Super Late Models. At the end of lap number 2, it's Larson, Tim, Younghands, and Clayton Stuckey now in possession of that 4th and final transfer.
It seems like you got to be on the bottom in 1 and 2. 3 and 4, if you got all momentum, you might be able to run the middle, but 1 and 2, you give up a lot of ground if you try to be there. And now with 3 down and 5 to go, Kyle Larson leads the way in this one with a 1.3 second advantage over Jake Tim.
Well, I'll go back to what Stormy Scott said in his interview with Trenton Berry in the pre-race show. He said the turns 1 and 2, that would be the turns that would slick off more and maybe even take a little bit of rubber, because that's the way the wind is blowing. That wind coming out of the southwest, blowing up that way, that corner would dry out a little more. So certainly not a surprise to see that, just to see Kent Rosebeer fanning out there, still trying to work the high side down in turns 3 and 4. He'll stay on the high side down in turns 1 and 2, and Rosebeer actually making it work. Meanwhile, we have a battle for the transfer in 3 and 4.
That's right. Garrett Albertson to a backup car, back in the pack. He charges up into position number 4. He'll go around Clayton Stuckey. And that is the final transfer spot that Albertson just took in that 58 car, bounced on the engine, forced him to a backup car after time trials earlier tonight. But it's all Kyle Larson all the time out front. The Elk Grove, California driver with just 2 laps left here in Dirt Track Bank heat race number 2, and he's led the whole way.
Yeah, he's got a 1.6 second advantage over Jake Tim, and Jake Tim has just about that same margin over Chase Younghands. Albertson now solidly in the 4th and final transfer spot as the driver out of Elk Grove, California, is on the point coming around to there. They just took the white flag. He's heading down the backstretch for the final time.
He has been on cruise control. Final time off into turns 3 and 4, and Kyle Larson putting on a clinic in this one. He's going to win by 2 seconds. He picks up the win in Dirt Track Bank Heat 2.
Second spot's going to go to Jake Tim. Chase Younghands going to cross in 3rd, and Garrett Albertson rallies from the back of the field to grab that 4th and final transfer here in Dirt Track Bank Heat Race number 2.
So picking up the win in Dirt Track Bank Heat Race number 2. Out of Elk Grove, California, it's Kyle Larson, the Float Racing, HendrickCars.com, Bill Stein, D&E Marine, Mega Plumbing, Hot Rod Septic Treatment, Mesilla Valley Transportation, JVI Group, American Racing, Pro Racing Wheels, all sponsors for Kyle Larson. He moves off to the Schaefer Oil redraw for the Gorsuch Performance Solutions pole award. DJ, up next, Gorsuch Performance Solutions, heat number 3.
Yes, indeed. Again, 8 laps in distance. Top 4 drivers transfer to the feature. Your quick qualifier in Group B, Don Shaw at Ham Lake, Minnesota, will lead this field to the green, and on his outside, out of Las Cruces, New Mexico, in that new Category 5 race car, the 2S of Stormy Scott.
Row 2 will be Cade Dillard out of Roebling, Louisiana, and car number 97 into his outside, the 14S of Colin Weinbarger out of Corbett, Oregon.
Row number 3 on the inside out of Searcy, Arkansas, is Tyler Stevens in the 2. He'll be flanked by the driver out of Torrance, California. The 32B is Cody Laney.
Row 4 is Preston Leckman out of Coos Bay, Oregon in the 77. And the 13 of Bryson James, also out of Oregon. He's from Albany.
And your final 3 starters get to be Jim Whistler out of Otis, Oregon in the 28. Morristown, Tennessee's Forrest Trent in the 101, and Fort Saskatchewan, Alberta's Terry Carter in the 16th. Looks like 11 cars have answered the call. Again, we'll roll them around for 8 laps here in Gorsuch Performance Solutions heat race number 3. So Don Shaw and Stormy Scott there on your front row. And Don Shaw, as we mentioned earlier, had brake line issues last night, and as of this morning was still trying to figure it out. Had some guys down there helping him on that race car, and it looks like they got things figured out, Ben, or he just said the heck with it. He was going to put the foot through the floorboard, and that may be what it takes. I think you're going to need some brakes here in this one with that track slicking off. He's on the pole, Stormy Scott on the outside. Last night's winner, Kate Dillard, rolls off from third.
And the CD bonding green flag is out, off into 1 and 2. Stormy Scott through the middle of the racetrack. Don Shaw's got the low line. Shaw with the preferred groove. He'll take it down the back straight with the lead. He will, as Don Shaw falls back to battle with Kate Dillard for position 2. Weinbarger in 4th.
Side by side for that second spot, and Stormy Scott not wanting to give up the real estate, and Dillard's able to work by, and Stormy Scott opens up the door for Colin Weinbarger as well as they try to get to the inside of the racetrack. Weinbarger gets into one of the Ute tires down there, and Stormy Scott goes around, and that'll bring out a Midwest sheet metal caution with 1 lap officially scored in Gorsuch Performance Heat Race number 3.
Well, the groove's narrow right now, and those guys are leaning hard on each other. There's a whole lot of take. There is 0 give, and Stormy Scott goes around as they were beating and banging down in turns 1 and 2 with 1 lap down and 7 laps to go.
There is something on the right front wheel of Jim Whistler's number 28 there at the back of the field. I don't know if our cameras can get a good shot of that or not when he comes back around. That right front wheel, something is a little off there on that. I don't know what it is, or if there's a sticker, piece of duct tape or something on it. Take a look at your FK Rod Ends instant replay here real quick and see exactly what happened to bring out this Midwest sheet metal caution flag.
And you see Weinbarger on the inside. Man, he goes in there, a little tail whip on Stormy. They got together down in turn 3 and 4. And in 1 and 2, it continued, and Stormy was the one that went around to bring out the Midwest sheet metal caution with 1 lap down, 7 to go.
Yeah, I'm going to keep them under caution here for 1 more lap as they try to get a couple cars near the back of the field separated. There's the damage on the 14 of Colin Weinbarger. We'll see if we can get a shot of that right front wheel on, well, it looks fine now. It was, I'm telling you, there was something, I may have just had like a, may have had a piece of plastic or something stuck to it, or a wrapper of some kind or something. Whatever it was, it's not on there now, and we are ready to go back to green flag racing again with 1 scored. 7 to go in Gorsuch Performance Solutions Heat Race number 3 for the Dirt Track Bank Super Late Models.
And the CD bonding green flag is back out. 1 down, 7 to go, and it's Don Shaw taking them off into 1 and 2.
Side by side momentarily for the second spot, and not anymore as Cody Laney, meanwhile, in the middle of the field, he gets sideways in the corner. He's able to gather it back up, but not before some wholesale changes as the battle for third now shaping up as the 13 of Bryson James gets down to the inside of the 2 of Tyler Stevens. Stevens, though, going to work his way back down to the bottom of the racetrack and reclaim that 3rd spot. Colin Weinbarger now on the outside looking in as he's in 5th.
And Don Shaw right now, as you said, those brakes are important when that track's like that. And right now, finessing around the low side of this FK Rod Ends Vado Speedway Park. 3 down, 5 laps to go. And Kate Dillard, last night's feature winner, man, he would love to get back into that Gorsuch Performance Solutions, a shot at the Gorsuch Performance Solutions pole in that Schaefer Wheel redraw. But he's got 1 more spot to get, and he's got 4 laps to figure it out with Tyler Stevens back in 3rd and 4th right now. Bryson James, after what he labeled as a terrible night last night, trying to put himself into the show.
I tell you what, Kate Dillard is closing back in a little bit on your race leader, Don Shaw, I believe, but more importantly, I think Tyler Stevens is closing in a little bit on Kate Dillard. Tyler Stevens, maybe not as much down in turns 1 and 2, but in 3 and 4, he's about a half a car length higher than that lead duo, and that seems like he's able to close in a little. But again, catching them was one thing, passing them is another. As this time by, there will be 2 laps to go.
Well, we talked about it, down in 1 and 2, the bottom, the place to be, and Tyler Stevens has figured that out, and he's running down there, and down in 3 and 4, he moves up a little bit higher, 2 laps to try to find a way around Kate Dillard, but as you said, slips off a 2 and lets Dillard pull away.
Yeah, but again, he's entering just a little higher. He's running in the middle of the racetrack, even closer to the higher side of the racetrack there in 3 and 4. But the white flag is out. Final time around, Don Shaw is pulled away in this one to see if Dillard is able to turn back the challenges of Tyler Stevens for 1 more lap.
Final time down the back straightaway in Gorsuch Performance Solutions Heat Race number 3. It's been all Don Shaw since the drop of the green flag, and he will pick up the win with the Hooker Trucking checkered flag in there. Don Shaw takes the win. Kate Dillard in 2nd. Tyler Stevens comes home in 3rd after starting 5th, and your 4th fourth and final transfer, Bryson James from 8th to 4th. He'll put it in his first ever Wild West Shootout main event.
Yeah, solid run for him. So again, 4th goes to James, 3rd goes to Stevens, 2nd goes to Dillard, and your winner out of Ham Lake, Minnesota in the Vic Hill Powered Capital Race Car, the Shaw Trucking, Blaine Brothers, EMR, Loop Tech, Dane Oil, West Bay Leasing, sponsored number 42. It's going to be Don Shaw, former Wild West Shootout winner, claiming the win in Gorsuch Performance Heat Race number 3. Just one prelim left for the later, one heat race left for the late models, and this will be Rio Grande Waste Services Heat number 4.
And on the pole, it'll be Bobby Pierce out of Oakwood, Illinois, in car 32 to his outside, the 18 is Shannon Babb out of Mowequa, Illinois.
Row number 2 on the inside out of Tucson, Arizona, the Dallas Caldwell. Row number 51, that is Jake O'Neill, and on his outside out of Headingley, Manitoba, the 7 is Ricky Weiss. Row 3 will be Hindman, Pennsylvania's Drake Troutman. He'll be flanked by the Milano, Oregon driver. The 15 is driven by Justin Duty.
Row 4 is Dustin Sorensen out of Rochester, Minnesota, the 19, and the 1R of BJ Robinson out of Bossier City, Louisiana.
And your final 3 starters in, it's going to be another Bossier City, Louisiana driver. It's Brad Couch in the 5C, Russellville, Arkansas's John Kirby in the 11. And if he's able to answer the call, it'll be Hot Sauce Tomas Hunziker, now out of Bend, Oregon, in the 38. 11 cars scheduled to go 8 laps, with the top 4 transferring here in Rio Grande Waste Services Heat number 4.
Well, Bobby Pierce last night came up just a little bit short, and he's trying to put himself into the redraw. Last night, he pulled the Gorsuch Performance Solutions pole position in that Schaefer Oil redraw, and he would love to do it again here tonight, but he's got to win this one. Shannon Babb had to come out of a B main last night, DJ. He's going to try to race it out of the heat here tonight. After this one, we will have a little bit of track prep, and then we'll move in to B main action here tonight at FK Rodden's Vado Speedway Park. And we know it's been a challenging weather day, and we appreciate everybody coming out, supporting the event, as well as everybody watching the Flow Racing broadcast presented by Coleman Farms Racing from around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be honest. I think just about everyone thought last night that it was Bobby Pierce's race, especially when they found out that he redrew the Gorsuch Performance Pole Award. And Cade Dillard had other plans for that. It just goes to show you never know what's going to happen here at FK Rodden's Vado Speedway Park. This one's going to be 8 laps in distance. Again, Pierce on the pole, Babb on the outside. It's an all Land of Lincoln front row as the C&D bonding green flag waves. Bobby Pierce going to get the early advantage down the front straightaway with Babb in second. And look at the 51, the Dallas Caldwell own entry of Jake O'Neill. Had problems last night, didn't pass the droop after qualifying, and that marred him in the back. He had to rally through the field as he's trying not to do that here this evening as he gets down to the inside of Ricky Weiss in the battle for 3rd.
And Weiss is going to take advantage to get down to the low side of the racetrack. Shannon Babb holds on to 2nd. Weiss back in 3rd. Caldwell holds on to 4th. And out front it is Bobby Pierce for the 2nd straight night, trying to win a heat race and put it into the Schaefer Oil redraw for the Gorsuch Performance Solutions pole, as he's got 2 laps under his belt, 6 more to go, and that's all that separates him with a chance in the redraw. And we talked about Babb having to come out of a B main last night. Last night, Jake O'Neill had a good qualifying effort, but it was a race by failing the droop check. He sits back in 4th, and he's trying to race his way in as well.
A really deep late model field here this year at the Out West Shootout. Again, some guys right now on the outside looking in. Drake Troutman, BJ Robinson, Justin Duty, Dustin Sorensen, amongst some others as well. All unbelievably talented drivers. It's the best battle on the track right now is that battle for the 3rd spot. 3 drivers there under a blanket, battling for 2 transfer positions. Ricky Weiss has that 3rd spot. Jake O'Neill, Drake Troutman, both trying to take it away. At the front of the field, Bobby Pierce, you're not missing anything. He's stretching out to a 2-second advantage over his fellow Illini State driver, Shannon Babb. Babb has about a 1.3-second lead over Ricky Weiss. Ben, 5 laps scored, 3 laps to go, and Rio Grande Waste Services heat race number 4.
And Bobby Pierce, as you said, just driving away in this one. Totally different racetrack than we saw last night. And again, the wind's going to continue to go. We're going to rework the racetrack, but I would say it's probably going to end up being a lot slicker feature than what we saw last night. And these guys are going to make a lot of adjustments as Shannon Babb a distant 2nd, even more distant back to 3rd for Ricky Weiss. And Jake O'Neill holds on to 4th. He's got Drake Troutman right there with him, but running out of time with a white flag in the air.
Yeah, Bobby Pierce looking really good out front in this one. He's going to, looks like he's going to hang on for 1 more lap in and work his way into that Schaefer Oil redraw for the 2nd straight night as he takes the low voltage solution sponsor number 32 off corner number 4 to a Hooker Trucking checkered flag. He is the winner of Rio Grande Waste Services Heat 4. Shannon Babb finishes second. Ricky Weiss third. Jake O'Neill will finish in the fourth and final transfer spot ahead of Drake Troutman, Justin Duty, BJ Robinson, Dustin Sorensen, Brad Couch, Tomas Hunziker, and John Kirby.
Taking the win in the Rio Grande Waste Services fourth and final heat for the Dirt Track Bank Super Late Models presented by Black Diamond Race Cars out of Oakwood, Illinois. The Low Voltage Solutions, Hooker Trucking, Rio Grande Waste Services, Mesilla Valley Transportation, Vic Hill Powered Longhorn for Bobby Pierce. That wraps up heat race action as we are going to step aside, do a bit of track prep, and yep, we're going to step aside. We're going to thank some marketing partners, and we'll be back here to FK Rod-Ins Vado Speedway Park in the Flow Racing broadcast presented by Coltman Farms Racing.